Welcome back into the works.
I'm Diane.
I'm Jim. And we want to talk about snow days, or a hooky day for that matter. But with recent weather events, when you had a snow day as a kid, and do kids do snow days the same as they did? Because, I mean, with COVID and working and learning remote, that's really changed things a lot, hasn't it?
Right. I don't think they actually get snow days anymore. I think it's remote learning. But how long are those free laptops going to last that they can still do remote learning?
Right. But I guess the idea or the topic is the idea of having an impromptu surprise day off.
Yeah.
What did you do? What would you do?
You go outside. Jim and I grew up up north in Ohio, and for the life of me, I never had snow pants. You would go out and play in the snow. You would just have jeans on.
Well, but you would put, I sometimes remember putting two sets of pants on.
Well, long johns and jeans. And
Sure. A layer.
And then you had the Wonder Bag over your socks so that your feet would stay dry in your boots or your shoes. But yeah, we would go sledding. And it was not with these little discs or wooden things or tubes. I had the flexible flyer. I had the rail sled. That thing would book. My God. Did you ever have one of those sleds?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you didn't, everyone would congregate around one of the hills,
mm-hmm.
or some, and inevitably, if it wasn't just a hill, it was a hill and then some major highway that was at the bottom that you had to try to stop before you got to. Yeah. That made it more exciting, right?
Yes. You set a marker that when you hit this point, you bail. Yeah, I went down the side of the reservoir, the dam. There were rocks down at the bottom, but you knew when to bail. And you didn't have a conveyor belt to take you up. Now here in where we are, tubing, you have a conveyor belt that takes you to the top of the hill.
Well, and that's cool. I mean, I guess like with skiing, I mean, people would get used to, where's your toe, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to walk up with your equipment and again, I just think it's kind of funny. We're all, you have fun going down the hill, then you all race over to the belt to stand in line with your tube behind you.
Yeah.
Just to do it again. But yeah, the idea of individual, special, you had no idea it was going to be a weather day, a snow day, and I guess that's another point. In our day, you had snow days, you had a weather day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly snow, but now there are these, again, remote learning, or there are days where you don't go in, right. Let's put it that way, that have nothing to do with weather. Like, there's also a situation going around now here in the South that measles are an issue. And so they keep you home. Or, of course, COVID was a great example, too. I know we've talked about that a couple times. But yeah, on your snow day, certainly part of the fun was meeting up with everybody. How would you do that? I mean, here's the thing: we didn't have social. We didn't have cell phones and text everybody. You just assumed, right? I mean, If it was snowing, you decided that you were going to go outside and have fun. And yeah, that idea does that work today?
I don't know. Even just today, we got all the sleet and the freezing rain, and I had the little disc sled. Granted, we're not in a neighborhood, but I didn't hear anybody outside. I think I was the only big kid out there. I sled down the driveway just because I could.
Yeah, or maybe to your point that they didn't necessarily have the traditional day off because of weather, right? It was remote learning, and so yeah. But okay, here's a reality. Let's pretend that was the case back in the early 80s. You know what would work? You're going outside and your parents yell at you, have you done your work yet? Your answer is yes.
Mhm.
and then you still go outside,
Right.
whether you did or not, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Remember, they had to say it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
at night,
Yeah.
right? That was a reminder.
No, I still remember that the best snow day was back in, this really dates me, the blizzard of 78. I went ice skating in my backyard. I lived in a proper neighborhood.
Well,
But-
right, and not to be technical, that was, and the reason that was, it was mostly, as a matter of fact, what we experienced here in this most recent snow event, it was mostly ice in our location back in Ohio in '78.
Mhm.
That was truly an ice storm that had some snow associated with it, but it was truly an ice storm. It was
Mhm.
so bad in central Ohio where I grew up that they, and there are some neighborhoods, I don't know, I'm sure they don't exist today, but you'd have these pot marks in neighborhood roads, and you wonder, and of course it's a fun opportunity to tell kids scary stories, but the truth was that's where the forklifts would have to come in and help pry up the thickness of the ice. Oh, and that's another topic too. We could talk about growing up and you know, those secrets that no one was supposed to know about, but everyone seemed to know about.
Yeah.
That's a whole other time. But yeah, so yeah, it's a snow day, right? But yeah, you'd get dressed, and and we all had apparatus to sled on, right?
Mhm.
Whether you officially did or not.
Right.
Trash can lid,
Mm-hmm.
cardboard seemed to work pretty well, right?
I remember my brother stories of he was up in Toledo that at the dorms they would use the lunch trays and sled on the lunch trays.
With the things with compartments in them.
No, they were just flat
Oh,
trays.
the tray
Yeah.
that you would put your other tray on
Mhm.
to take up after your.
Mhm.
Okay, well that would seem to work.
And then down south we do the inner tubes because you have them for when you're on the lake. So
There you go.
why not?
So okay, that's a good sharing or inclusive topic. So share with us what sort of other apparatus that you would use to sled down such a hill, or would you possibly be drug along the back of a, back in our day, mopeds were big, and dragging somebody on a inner tube or a saucer or something. I'm sure that would, I certainly knew we would do things like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of riding my bike on ice because the guys were doing it and it looked like fun because you could really
Well,
skid.
Right. Well, they
But-
were trying to wipe out. That was the whole point.
Yeah, and that hurt. When
Sure
you're
did.
cold and you wipe out on ice,
Yeah.
that hurt.
Well, and the bonus was they got you to do it so they could laugh at you as opposed
Yeah,
to
I was
having to.
an easy target. Yeah. I would do that to me.
Yeah. Well, it is. So yeah, that's I think again, great idea. Share with us some of your fun, favorite things about a snow day. What would you was not just the getting out of the house with the kids part, right? I don't know. Was there, since you had to have lunch at home? Was that a big? What lunch would you have? Because that was always the thing too, right? I mean, if you think about it, it was a
Right.
school day. Hopefully it wasn't a pizza school
Oh
day.
yeah, Wednesday was pizza day.
Right. So if it was a Wednesday pizza day,
And
then,
you got stuck at home.
see,
Yeah.
that's just it. In some cases, like the horrific stories about your growing up situation and the food you were subjected to. Yeah, was it a bonus to be able to stay at home versus, having to go to school for lunch? I'm sure in your case it was better to go to school for lunch, but yeah, not to get off on this tangent, I still, for the life of me, don't understand. Someone needs to explain to me why my mother, for every type of sandwich I had, peanut butter jelly, bologna, that was a big one. Does anybody eat bologna anymore?
Yeah.
Everything had butter on it or margarine. So each side had butter or margarine. I'd ask, it would piss me off. I would ask, why do you do that? And the answer was so that it wouldn't bleed through the bread, like jelly which I don't understand that either. But was that something that, I don't know? And again, our parents, what was that generation? I don't remember what. Anyway, my point is, so
The
parents
silent
then,
generation.
right? Well, so parents then, as opposed to now, you pack your kid's school. I mean, is there any odd things that I guess they would think that you do? No. I mean, hell, as a matter of fact, we live in a world today where you got Lunchables, and you don't even have to worry about preparing a lunch for a kid. Anyway, so yeah, my question here was, on your school day, you had to have lunch at home. Was that any more of a bonus than going to school? And
well, I guess it depends on
fish
who was
day, right?
who was home to watch you. If
That's
grandma
true.
was in town, then you would get something good for lunch. But if it was just your older brother watching you, well,
You had to fend for yourself.
yeah.
Or watching TV on a snow day. That was always fun because, again, in our generation, we had game shows and
Mhm.
soap operas.
Yeah.
Things that are more. And now it's nothing. What is it? News and talk, and that's pretty much it. So.
Oh, yeah. And
So-
somebody hitting somebody else with a chair on a talk show.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so those are the things that I guess what would you do, or as a kid when you had that free day? How would you take advantage of that? Sure.
And what did you do as an adult that when you couldn't go in because the roads are bad? What did you
How
do?
often did that happen though? Now see, that's
Well, everybody, today, most people where the ice storm was, if they weren't already working remotely,
sure they got to. Well,
Yeah.
again, because I think that infrastructure set up, or at least that
I guess
norm
you don't
exists.
get a day off.
Well, but
yeah.
no. So I was going to say, and I didn't mean to poo-poo your thought right away, but the second I said that, I realized that unfortunately, then as opposed to now, daycare was not as big of a thing then. So
Right.
the reality is that mom or dad would have to stay home
Right.
because the kid was home,
hmm
or at least that was no. I was never alone. Unfortunately that
And I was a latchkey, so,
So,
yeah.
yeah, that would have been an interesting. I guess that's an interesting side topic too. Is that having today's generation? Is it that, like you said, the parent gets to stay at home, has a day? What do they do with that day?
hmm
They get caught up on laundry, or do they go out and enjoy the snow like the kid? No, and again, and like you said today, even in our neighborhood, I didn't hear anybody outside. I know I did yesterday when all the precipitation was happening, but
You didn't hear me crash into the fence?
no.
Good. Allegedly.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, let us know what you would do on your impromptu day off, or share some thoughts or any comments on what we just said. We're going to take a little break, and we will be right back more with The Works.